Hello and welcome to a new series for the channel. This is going to be an Iron Wizard playthrough, but to make it a bit harder, I'm not going to replay fields. I'm also going to try not to play unnecessary fields, to reduce the amount of skill points I get, and to try and beat the game in as few battles as possible. This won't be a walkthrough, as some of the strats will be quite tight, and some will require good RNG. There are other series out on YouTube that don't require RNG. If you're looking for more of a walkthrough, I'd advise looking at them. But if you want to see how much the game can be pushed, then this is a series for you. The first few levels are nothing too spectacular. Not too much to say on this one. I tend to go for more armor tearing gems, as the grade 1 gems are very cost efficient against targets with no armor. While the blue grade ones are technically more DPS, the luxury of just taking off their armor generally means that I just prefer the grade 1 purple spam. I will save my beam for a grade 2 gem to maximise damage done to the brass stash, and on this field we are able to get the brass stash and the iron stash, which is essentially perfect for this field because I don't value the skill in the bronze stash too much. For those unaware, the skill is Orb of Presence. It gives you a slight reduction to banishment costs, and every 5 points gives you an orblet, which is kind of like okay utility, but doesn't justify the points spent on it. So here we are, iron stash is down, and the grade 2 is just whittling away at the brass stash, and should have it dealt with before the last wave hits. For those unaware, as you'll see with the bronze stash in a second, once the last wave hits, it becomes untargetable, so you need to kill it before the last wave hits. Not much left to say about the cleanup of these. A bunch of achievements will pop up, and then we should complete the level. You will notice there is a bit of a cut between clips. That is purely because I record each of these fields individually and don't do a long chain of them. This is more important later when there's RNG involved, and it just makes doing multiple fields in a row too much effort. So this one, I utilise poison gems, grade 1, because there's a lot of swarmlings, and the poison damage is quite significant at this stage in the game. Really, up until you get resonance, the poison damage is quite significant. Here I'm getting a grade 2, and I'm putting beam on it to get rid of the armor on stash. Although the grade 1 would have also done some work on that while just hitting that. So yeah, the grade 1 poison gems and towers are set to random to try and just put the poison on as many things as possible. I think between the tower hit and the poison, it one-shots all the swarmlings, which is nice. And this allows the grade 2 gem more time to work on the brass stash. Here I am panicking a little bit. Probably should have got that grade 2 sooner, wouldn't have leaked, and would have the mana to combine up to the grade 3 a little bit sooner. Wouldn't have wasted as much of the beam time, but as it is, enough time to deal with that. Unfortunately, this grade 3 is not in range of the iron stash, so I will have to move it after taking down the brass stash. But I will have the beam to resocket it, and enough time to take down the iron stash. I did try doing this with one tower between the two stashes, but it just didn't work out with the beam ranges. So yeah, a few swarms losing sleep, but that's natural. Focusing the stash can tank the swarmlings and clean them up after. This next one I decided to salvage the blue gems to get a stronger orange gem. The main reason for this is because the extra mana leech on the beam is quite nice and tends to repay the efficiency loss salvaging the gems. Although this is pretty unimportant since this doesn't make enough of a difference for me to get both the iron and the brass stash. As without armor tearing, the only way I'm really damaging this brass stash is with beams, and I kind of need the beams for the mana leech to get a gem strong enough to deal with it. So unfortunately I did try multiple times and I got reasonably close to getting this brass stash, but was never able to get it. So just settled for this solution where I use the orange gem for mana leech and just make a jewel gem to focus down the iron stash. The extra 20% damage being important for getting past the iron stash's armor and doing significant damage. Without beam, orange is a pretty weak component. It's the lowest DPS of any of the components you can put into a gem. But with beam, the mana leech justifies the reduced stats. Really not too much to say about this field either. Without armor tearing, we're not getting through the armor on the brass stash, and it's got too much HP for me to beam down at this stage. So it's just spam grade 1 poisons to deal with the enemies, and then build up a gem to deal with the stash. You'll see I'm holding on to beam. This tends to be to use it on a high grade gem. So rather than just using a beam on a grade 1 gem, I'll hold it until I can upgrade to grade 2. The beam will resocket it, and it means that it's a stronger beam. Here you see I'm sitting on 2 beams for a little bit, but it allows me to use the beam on a grade 3, which is stronger. I didn't lose too much time of it sitting on 2 stacks. So here you see the stash is down with plenty of time left, and I upgrade that one at the back just in case any of those were leaking, but it's pretty in the bag at this point. It's not a difficult field. And that will sort of conclude the first episode of Iron Wizard. Promise to you the next few episodes will get a bit more interesting, a bit closer stashes, and we'll push the limits a little bit more than this rather tame start.